Hey there, Marcus here. Welcome back to Embrace Our Calling. So, we've been on this journey together exploring the theology of work. In episode 16, we saw how God designed work to be good, meaningful, purposeful, and even joyful. And then in episode 17, we faced the hard truth that sin has corrupted everything. Work becomes difficult, fruitless, and for many of us, an idol. Pretty heavy stuff, right? But today is about hope, because here's what I want you to know, that the gospel doesn't just make work slightly better, it doesn't just help you cope with the brokenness. The gospel actually redeems your work completely. And I'm going to show you 5 specific ways that it does this. 5 ways that can transform your Monday morning. Ready? Let's dive in. The first way is where the gospel gives your work a new story. You see, first, the gospel gives you a whole new narrative, a completely new way to understand what your work is actually about. So think about this. Most people see work as just a necessary evil. You're born, you work, you retire, and you die. You make the best of it, and that's it. Or maybe work is just about paying the bill. Work is about surviving. But the gospel places your work inside the biggest and most meaningful story in the universe. The story of creation, where your work matters because God created the material world and called it good. Your Monday morning job isn't just secular drudgery. It is participating in God's ongoing care for His world. The gospel doesn't pretend that work is easy. It names the problem of sin that has corrupted everything. And that is why work is hard. Redemption. Christ came to redeem what sin broke. Not just your soul, but He came to redeem everything, including your work. And renewal. That one day, Christ will return and make all things new. That your work is building something that will last into eternity. So, you're not just an accountant. You're an accountant that is participating in God's creation and redemption story. You're not just a teacher. You're a teacher who is partnering with God to shape the next generation. And that spreadsheet that you're working on, it is part of how God provides for people through your company. That difficult student that you're teaching, you're partnering with God in their development. The gospel gives your work a narrative that makes sense, and that changes everything. The second way is that the gospel shifts your focus from self to service. The gospel transforms what you're actually working for. Remember what the fall did? It made work all about us, about making a name for ourselves, about proving that we matter. And let's be honest, that is exhausting. In Singapore especially, we are constantly comparing whose salary is higher, whose job title sounds more impressive. So work becomes this never-ending competition to validate ourselves. But here's what the gospel does. It shifts your focus from self to service. You're no longer working primarily to make a name for yourself. You're working as God's representative, partnering with Him in His care for the world. When you're cooking food in your hawker store, you're not just making money, you're partnering with God to feed the people. And when you're writing code, you're creating tools that help people work more efficiently, connect with their family, and access important services. When you're processing insurance claims, you're helping families get financial support during difficult times. You see, the gospel takes work that felt self-centered and make it other-centered, make it service-oriented. You know what's beautiful? Because when work becomes about serving others instead of promoting yourself, it actually becomes more fulfilling. Because we were designed for this, that we were made to serve, to contribute, to care for others. So hey, before we continue, I want to tell you about something that's really helpful for me in preparing this series on the theology of work. This whole series has been inspired by Timothy Keller's book, Every Good Endeavor. It is a fantastic book, but I get it. Finding time to read a full book when you're juggling with work, family, and everything else, that's tough. And that's where Shortform comes in. Shortform gives you the world's best book summaries and analysis. And I'm talking about way more than just chapter summaries, because they will give you the key insights, the context, and even the connections to other books and titles. I've been using Shortform to dive deeper into books on work, on calling, and on faith. And honestly, it has helped me to distill these big ideas into practical wisdom that I can share with you. So, if you want to grow in your understanding of calling, work, and purpose, but you're short on time, Shortform is perfect for you. So right now, Shortform is partnering with me to offer you 20% off the annual or monthly subscription. So just go to shortform.com/EOC to claim this discount. And that's shortform.com/EOC. So trust me, you will love it. All right, let's get back to it. So the third way is that the gospel gives you true identity and real rest. The gospel anchors your identity in something that can never be taken away. You see, one of the biggest problems with work is that we tie our identity to it. Our job title becomes who we are. Our salary becomes our scorecard. Our career success becomes our proof that we matter. And this creates a lot of anxiety for us. What if I fail? What if I get retrenched? What if I don't get promoted? Does it mean that I'm worthless? But here's what the gospel does. You see, your worth isn't based on your performance. It is based on God's unwavering love for you through Christ. You are deeply loved, not because of what you have achieved, but because of what Christ has achieved for you. So if you get retrenched tomorrow, you are still beloved by God. If your project fails spectacularly, you are still His treasured child. If you never get promoted again, your worth doesn't diminish one bit. And you know what that does? It gives you real rest, that deep soul rest that all of us need. You can stop striving to prove yourself. You can stop the endless comparison game. You can stop the anxiety about whether you are successful enough. And here's the beautiful paradox, is that when you stop needing work to validate yourself, you actually work better. How? You can take risks without fear of failure destroying you. You can be creative without anxiety about making mistakes. You can learn from criticism instead of being crushed by it. So I remember this clicked for me last year, when I was going through a very difficult period in my career. I was constantly stressed out by my students' results because their result felt like my results. Then I realized that God actually loves me completely, that my identity isn't successful teacher, it is beloved child of God. And you know what? I actually become a better teacher because I wasn't teaching from a place of anxiety, but from a place of rest. The fourth way is that the gospel creates genuine, sustainable passion. The gospel creates a different kind of passion for your work. You see, the world's passion comes from ambition, right? From wanting to get ahead, from envy, from fear that if I don't work hard enough, I will fall behind. And that kind of passion burns hot, but it burns out fast. But gospel passion, it comes from gratitude. When you really grasp how much God has loved you, how much grace you have received, you can't help but respond. You work hard not because you are trying to earn God's approval, because you already have it. You work hard because you are grateful. You serve others not because you are trying to look good, for your worth is already secure. You serve because you have been served by Christ. And this creates a passion that is sustainable, that doesn't burn out. That when projects go wrong, you don't collapse because your identity isn't at stake. That when people are difficult, you can still show up with patience for them because you have received infinite patience from God. When work is tedious, you can still bring excellence to the table because you are working for an audience of one. Now, gospel passion isn't flashy. It is steady, it is deep, and it lasts. The fifth way is that the gospel shapes a distinctive work ethic. All of this shapes how you actually work from day to day. The gospel gives you a distinctive work ethic. It shows up in your compassion. In a workplace that treats people as resources to be used, the gospel teaches you to see every person as made in the image of God. So you will notice the colleague who is struggling. You will help the new team member. You show kindness to the janitor that everyone else ignores. It shows up in your generosity. In a culture that is obsessed with hoarding credit for oneself, the gospel frees you to be genuinely generous. You can celebrate others' success, you can share credit, you can even help your competitors. Why? Because your security isn't based on winning the office competition. It shows up in humility. You can admit mistakes, you can ask for help, you can acknowledge others' contribution. You don't have to pretend that you know everything. It shows up in perseverance, that when things get difficult, you don't just quit. You keep showing up, you keep serving, and you keep working with excellence. Not because you are earning something, but because you are grateful for what you have already received. Recognition of every person's worth. Every person has value, not based on their position or salary, but because they are made in God's image. So you can treat the intern with the same respect as the CEO. That you can value the person who's struggling with mental health as much as the star performer in your team. And here's what all this adds up to: humble excellence. That you can work with real excellence, bring about your best, care about quality, take your responsibilities seriously, but you do it with humility, not with pride when you succeed, not crush when you fail. How? Because your worth comes from Christ's finished work, not your work. It is on the cross where Jesus says, "It is finished." Your salvation is complete. Your worth in God is established. So now you're free to pursue excellence just because it is good and right to do so. You can work hard on a presentation without being anxious about whether it succeeds or not. You can take on a challenging project without your ego being on the line. You can accept feedback without being defensive. You can celebrate when colleagues succeed without feeling threatened. This is humble excellence, that you're working your hardest but holding your results loosely. And this frees you up to actually focus on supporting your colleagues, and you can mentor the junior staff member, cover for the overwhelmed colleague, share knowledge that makes someone else look good. That is gospel-redeemed work. So what does this mean for us when we go back to work on Monday? Now, we can go back to work with these 5 things. Number 1, a new story. You're partnering with God. Number 2, a new focus. You're about service and not self-promotion. Number 3, a new identity. That you are a beloved child of God, secure and at rest. Number 4, a new passion that is fueled by gratitude and is sustainable. Number 5, a new work ethic. That you are passionate, generous, humble, and pursuing humble excellence. So you see, the gospel redeems your work, all of it. Yes, the thorns are still real, but you have a new story now, a better story, a true story. And in that story, your labor in the Lord is never in vain. Thanks so much for listening. Next episode, we are going to have an interview with a friend of mine who is also an author of the book on the theology of work. So we really hope that you can hop on, because there will be a special giveaway for listeners. Until then, may you know the freedom and joy that comes from gospel-redeemed work. This is Marcus Mock, and you're listening to Embrace Our Calling. Thank you for joining me here today. So be sure to hit subscribe to stay tuned to our future episodes. Check out my website at embraceourcalling.com for more resources to help you on your calling journey. In the meantime, stay joyful and let's go forth to embrace our calling.